Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first ever episode on this, of Pokemon on this channel. As you can tell from the title, I have the very controversial opinion that Incineroar is not going to be as good as everybody says it is. And it's not to say that it's not going to be as good everybody says it is, like, because it's bad. Incineroar's really, really good. But, I mean, if you look back, the reason why Incineroar's been good is because, A, it's been probably one of the best fire types out there, most formats. And B, it's because most of the formats it's used is restricted formats. Because when you have restricted formats, you have two different Pokemon that you can use that are really strong and are used for attackers, and then you need Pokemon that aren't as strong to support them. And most of the time, you use Incineroar. Now, when we're getting into Regulation F, we have high power Pokemon, but we don't have, like, restricteds. And most of the restricted Pokemon in the formats are not fire types. The restricted format Pokemon you have are pretty much like Reshiram, and no one really uses that. So if you don't have an offensive fire attacker, just have a Pokemon that's not a restricted, that's a fire to do the job. And I mean, it's easy to put Incineroar on support because you get Fake Out, you get Parting Shot. It now gets Knockoff, which I don't think it got in Gen 8. This is my first time, so I'm gonna live adjust my mic a little bit to be closer to the screen. Yeah. And then you have Fire type move, which is most of the time Flare Blitz. You want a different move? You can go Snarl. You can go Will-O-Wisp. Everyone says it, and it's true. Incineroar is the Swiss Army knife of Pokemon. Incineroar's the Swiss Army knife of Pokemon, and it's because it has great typing. Now you have Terra. It has Intimidate. You can swap it out. Incineroar has all this stuff going for it, and you don't even need to invest in attack. And that's where I'm going to say that Incineroar, on my quote-unquote hot take, is not good. Because for the first time, we have a non-Dynamax format with Incineroar just joining in and already have some really good established fire types and some really good not established fire types. So I'm going to be going over which of these fire types I think will have good meta usage, because Incineroar is going to be good. Let's start off with Incineroar, actually, because I explained all of this. Where's Incineroar going to fit? Incineroar is going to fit on balanced teams, and if it needs support Trick Room teams. Why support Trick Room teams? I'll get to why some Trick Room teams won't want to use Incineroar, but Incineroar will be mainly used on teams that have balance and teams that use Porygon 2. Because leading Incineroar Porygon 2 is great because you fake out Trick Room and you basically live every single hit. That being said, Incineroar has base 60 speed. We have Whimsicott. We have Tornadus. There are a lot of Pokemon in this format that basically want to utilize Tailwind, want to utilize Speed. We have Urshifu. We have, spoiler, skip a couple seconds, Iron Boulder with its new move that hits through Protect. We have a lot of different Pokemon that encourage hyper offense. We also have a lot of Pokemon that encourage balance. Reg F is going to be one of the most fun metas because we have, like, good balance between Pokemon, and with Pokemon like Incineroar, Porygon 2 returning, the meta is going to slow down. So, why is Incineroar not going to be used? For that, we're going to start with Hisuian Arcanine. Hisuian Arcanine's won 6 different titles, and there's a reason. It's because it's an offensive fire type. But Beirut, you might be asking, like, Incineroar has like 115 attack. Incineroar can be good. Yeah, and Incineroar has 60 speed. That's the problem. You can't use Incineroar in Tailwind. In addition, you have not only a Flare Blitz, you have a really, really powerful Stab, Rock Slide, and Head Smash, along with Terra Normal Extreme Speed and Terra Blast. This is why this Pokemon's good. You run Choice Band. With Incineroar in the meta, I can see Clear Amulet picking up. I can see Citrus Berry still being a thing. You can still run Will-O-Wisp. With base 90 speed, you just have to invest like this much speed, and then you pretty much outspeed like Choice Scarf Landorus with Tailwind up. And then you can like invest the rest in HP. Like this is literally like the set I'm using. Like, and it's good. And the reason why people will use Arcanine over Incineroar is because, well, I can run Whimsicott, I can run Urshifu. Let's run Arcanine. You run Arcanine with Choice Band or Clear Amulet, Incineroar comes in, cool, you get faked out. What's happening next turn? Rock Slide, Head Smash. Incineroar's Terra types are probably going to be Fairy and Water. You are not resisting a Rock move. Unless, like, Steel becomes popular, but then you just play the guessing game of, do I Flare Blitz or do I Head Smash Rock Slide? Arcanine is an Intimidator that is an Incineroar counter. Yes, we've had Hitmontop before, and some people did use it, but Incineroar was still better because it had Parting Shot, it had Will-O-Wisp, it had all these things. Arcanine isn't trying to take the niche of Incineroar. Instead, Arcanine just does something completely different. And that's why Arcanine's still going to be good. On Tailwind teams, on Hyper Offense teams, people are going to want to run Arcanine over Incineroar. And speaking of Hyper Offensive teams, this is where we get to our first, and probably only DLC mon on this list, which is Entei. Now, Entei saw really good usage in Sword and Shield in that one format that didn't have Dynamax, and it's for a reason. We saw Choice Band and Choice Scarf Entei take Storm. You run Sacred Fire. Oh, and by the way, Inner Focus is really good against Incineroar. Yeah, you run Inner Focus, you run Stomping Tantrum. Granted, Stomping Tantrum can't be really stopped with Fake Out, which is fun to do, because for those of you who didn't know, if you click Stomping Tantrum and its animation doesn't go off, an animation, so whether it's immune or you get faked out, its power doubles. So that's what it means by if the last move failed. You also get Terra Normal Extreme Speed. Granted, Arcanine will be much more popular, but I've already built a team, spoiler alert, one of the 2.5 teams, because I have a third team cooking up. And then you can run Terra Blast. Or what other moves do you get? You get Crunch. It doesn't really get as much coverage. Crunch, Iron Head. Yeah, Terra Blast is probably going to be its fourth move. But it does have a niche. It's like a mix between, like, Arcanine and... it's a mix between Arcanine and Dragonite. Another YouTuber has already talked about this, but it's a mix between Arcanine and Dragonite. And, like, Sacred Fire is no joke. 50% to burn the target in a physical format is really, really, really good, because it stops Urshifu if you want to go for that. It stops Iron Hands, where you can run Stomping Tantrums instead, but it stops Iron Hands. If you don't kill Rillaboom or they Terra, you can, as long as it's not fire, if they're running poison, you still get the burn. So that things you run like Adamant, you can run like max Adamant, and you outspeed Landorus as well, and are also immune to Intimidate from Landorus. So now we're gonna move to our next fire type, Heatran. So these are like the main 3 fire types I think we'll see. I actually think Ogerpon will see a little more usage. But yeah, this is why we have Incineroar, Arcanine, Entei. Those are going to be like the big 3. If you want to run balance, you run Incineroar. If you want to run Arcanine, when you run more offensive or need like Rock type stab, and if you don't need Rock type stab but you want to run like very hyper offense, that's when you run Entei. Heatran. Heatran's never not good. It has Earth power, so it can contend with Incineroar, and it's Steel type, so it resists Flutter Mane. That's what it's got going for it. You do have like Magma Storm, you do have like Assault Vest, you can run that. It's our best fire special attacker. So if you need like a slower-ish, more balancy team, like you can think of slotting Heatran onto it. Granted, Heatran is more an offensive Pokemon, it has 130 special attack, so it's going to be hitting hard. Most people are going to opt to run Incineroar over it, but Heatran does give you Steel Stab if you need that. Chi-Yu is not going away. We have Dark Fire in Chi-Yu, and we have Fire Dark. You may be thinking, why would you want to run Chi-Yu if you want to run Incineroar? They do completely different things. Beads of Ruin, 100 base speed. People are still going to run Chi-Yu Flutter Mane. 2/2/2 is going to be a thing. Chi-Yu will still be relevant in the meta. Even so, DLC is giving us special attackers. You want to run Flutter Mane, Chi-Yu, Walking Wake. That's a thing now. You can do that. You finally have a good water type for your core. I can't think of any other special attackers off the top of my head other than that are coming in the DLC that are returning, but there are that are speedy. I mean, because Reuniclus Trick Room is a thing, but it will be a thing. Chi-Yu's going to be a thing, and speaking of a thing, Ogerpon's not going away either. Embody Aspect, Terra Fire, Ivy Cudgel, Crit. That's going to be a thing forever. If you need a Grass Fire type, which is a really good typing and just fits on any team, it also gets Follow Me. It also gets Swords Dance. It also gets Spiky Shield. Ogerpon-Hearthflame as your fire type of choice, while maybe doesn't have Intimidate immunity to Incineroar, you can still run Stomping Tantrum, but Ogerpon still counters Urshifu, Rapid Strike, which is still going to be relevant in the meta, or any water types. Suicune, it doesn't really counter Walking Wake, but Ogerpon's going to be relevant in the meta, still kind of. And now for our last ones, we're going to get to the elephants in the room. I'm going to start with Gouging Fire, because Gouging Fire isn't something I've looked at because I have Violet, not Scarlet, and I don't have the money. But it does get a signature move that is really, really powerful. I don't remember its name off the top of my head. And Smogon, there it is. Burning Bulwark. Burning Bulwark is our move that is King's Shield, Spiky Shield, Silk Trap. They're doing Baneful Bunker. So it's Baneful Bunker, but instead of poison, it's burn. As I said, physical format. Very good. That's all it has really going for it. Wolfie VGC talked about running Clear Amulet and going for Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, and Flare Blitz, which I mean isn't a terrible set. Dragon Fire is a very good typing, despite me trashing on Reshiram earlier. And I mean, you have 115 attack, which a lot of these other Pokemon have. You have good HP and good bulk. As Wolf said, the only problem with why I'm not too hot about Gouging Fire is that Incineroar, if you don't run Clear Amulet, Incineroar kind of just eats this thing up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in addition to that, you have base 91 speed. So if you're running a bulky set, you're better off running Incineroar or Arcanine, Hisui, instead of this. And then if you're running a Dragon Dance set and you go max speed, you need +2 speed to outspeed Landorus, Therian, or you could because most Landorus, Therian go Jolly, or they go Adamant. So most of the time you'd have to run this, and then I mean you have good bulk, 180, 141, 113 is good, but 167 attack is mediocre due to power creep, so you're not really getting that much off of it. It's a decent setup Pokemon. I guess if you want to make it some sort of wall, you can. I guess it gets Psychic Fangs and substitute, but at the same time, if you want a fire wall Pokemon that can set up and dish a lot of damage, Heatran. If you want a physical attacker, Arcanine. I think Gouging Fire is not going to see a lot of play once the meta sets. Don't get me wrong, Burning Bulwark is great, but I mean, we don't see Silk Trap, we don't see Baneful Bunker, and it's because these Pokemon either don't have a niche in the meta, or their niche is taken up by someone else, and in this case, there are just too many good fire types in the pond already for Gouging Fire to do anything. Now, the second and third, I'm going to talk about these together. In the room our elephants in the room are Armarouge and Torkoal, because they're going to see play. I was looking at Pokemon that get Expanding Force earlier. Like, Iron Crown with Expanding Force is fine. Hatterene with Expanding Force is fine. I still think Armarouge is the best Expanding Force user because the combination of Psychic and Fire is just really, really powerful. There aren't many types. I don't think there are any types that resist both Psychic and Fire. Like Dark, Fire's neutral. You hit everything pretty much for neutral except Incineroar, which, great. But you also get Aura Sphere. And in addition, when you run Armarouge and DD, you can run different stuff. You also run Lilligant, which if a lot of Incineroar run safety goggles, but if they're not running safety goggles, you can sleep powder it. Hisuian Lilligant gets close combat, which I'll also get because these two are run together, which is why I'm talking about them together, which is another reason why you can run Torkoal over Incineroar. I'm sorry if my mic has been cutting in and out. Like, I'm still figuring this out. That's why you run Armarouge Torkoal together, because you boost the fire type moves with Torkoal, and in addition, these two work really well in Trick Room. If you're running Trick Room, these are the two mons you probably run, unless you're running Porygon 2, which in that case, then you run Incineroar. But if you're running Psychic Terrain Psy-Spam, Armarouge all the way, and that's going to be your fire type of choice, they're probably going to need, like, a Pokemon to beat Incineroar. I wonder what ground types there are that can beat Incineroar. Would be a shame if they got Guts. Oh wait, Ursaluna. You get both types of Ursaluna that hit Incineroar for super effective. So if you run Armarouge as your fire type in Trick Room, you're fine. Torkoal on the other matter, Torkoal gets Drought, which means you set up with Lilligant. You set up with Photosynthesis mons, like, I don't know, Walking Wake. Torkoal's still going to be relevant. There's definitely going to be a team comp around that's like Torkoal, Lilligant Hisui, Walking Wake, and then you also run like Armarouge and DD. That's going to be a nightmare, and it's going to be hilarious, and I can't wait to see it. But Trick Room Eruption is never going away. So that's why Gouging Fire, Armarouge, Torkoal, I say are my dark horses and my elephants in the room, because Gouging Fire is good, but its niche is filled up by everything else. And Armarouge and Torkoal are great, but only in like Psy-Spam Trick Room or Sun. So this is my list of fire types. So yeah, this is like my first video on the channel after my introduction, and yeah, I would be very happy if you guys, if you like the content, like it, so I can do more of this stuff. I don't know why you're Terrasteel. There we go, sure. But either way, this is my mini video essay on why I think Incineroar is not going to be as relevant in the meta, and why, because of the niche other Pokemon fills, why Incineroar is great and other Pokemon can be better. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a great day.